Picture this, your kid's on the soccer field, they go for a header, and bam, a hard collision with another player. They get up, but something's just not right. Or hey, maybe it's you. You slip at home, you hit your head, and now you've got this pounding headache that just will not quit. In that split second of confusion and, let's be honest, fear, knowing what to do next is absolutely critical. So today, we're going to break down the essential first aid that could really make all the difference.
So, head injury happens. What's the move? The hard truth is, most of us just don't know the right way to respond. And that gap in our knowledge, it's not just a minor detail. It can lead to some really severe consequences. We're talking permanent brain damage or even worse. So we're going to fix that. Right here, right now. We are breaking down exactly what to do step by step.
Okay, so before we can even talk about how to treat it, we need to get a clear picture of what's actually happening inside the skull. So let's start with the absolute basics of this super common yet widely misunderstood injury.
You know, your brain is surprisingly soft. Think of it like firm jello. And it's just kind of floating around in the protective fluid inside your hard skull. So during a sudden impact, a fall, a tackle, a car accident, that soft brain slams violently against the hard, bony inner walls of your skull. That movement, that impact, it stretches and damages the delicate brain cells. And that, right there, is a concussion. The medical term for it is a mild traumatic brain injury.
All right, let's bust some huge myths right off the bat. First off, you do not have to pass out to have a concussion. That's a big one. You also don't need to see any blood or even have a visible bump. And get this, you don't even need to hit your head directly. A sudden, violent whiplash motion all on its own can be enough to shake the brain and cause a concussion. All of these are false.
And if you're thinking this is some rare thing, think again. Just look at this number. There are 586 hospitalizations for traumatic brain injuries every single day in the US alone. They happen on sports fields, in car accidents, and from simple falls at home. And the scary part is, the vast majority probably go unrecognized.
So, the big question, how do you recognize one? Before you can do anything to help, you have to know what you're looking for. And trust me, the symptoms are not always as obvious as you'd think.
Okay, so right after an injury, you need to be a detective. Keep your eyes peeled for any of these immediate signs. A headache or that feeling of pressure in the head is the classic symptom, for sure. But also watch out for dizziness, nausea, or if the person just seems confused, like they're in a fog. Slurred speech or vision problems, those are also major red flags.
Now here's the really tricky part, and this is so important. The danger isn't over after that first hour. Some of the most telling symptoms can take hours or even a day or two to show up. And that is why you have to keep observing them. It's absolutely vital. If you start noticing memory issues, weird mood swings, or just this overwhelming fatigue setting in later, that is a very serious sign. Here's a simple but professional-grade tool you can use on the spot to check someone's level of consciousness. It's called the AVPU check. It's so easy. A is for alert. Are their eyes open? Are they tracking your movements? V is for voice. Do they respond when you talk to them? P is for pain. If they're not responding to your voice, do they respond to a gentle pinch on the skin? And finally, U is for unresponsive. If you get to U, you don't wait. You call 911 immediately.
Okay, you've recognized the signs. An injury just happened. Now is the time for action. This next part covers the exact steps you need to take in those first few critical moments.
First and foremost, stop everything. Have the person lie down and stay as still as possible. You really want to protect their head and neck, so no unnecessary movement. Now, if they start vomiting, you need to carefully roll them onto their side. That's the recovery position, to make sure they don't choke. Next, get a wrapped ice pack on there for about 15 minutes to help with the swelling. If there's any bleeding, apply firm pressure. But, and this is a big but, not if you suspect a skull fracture. And finally, if it's safe to do so, try to keep them awake and talking so you can keep monitoring how they're doing.
Okay, everybody lean in. This is incredibly important. If they have a headache, you can only give them Tylenol. That's acetaminophen. You must avoid giving them aspirin or ibuprofen. Why? Because those are blood thinners, and they can dramatically increase the risk of bleeding inside the brain. That can turn a mild injury into something absolutely catastrophic. So just remember, Tylenol is okay. The others are a big no.
Now these are the absolute red alerts, the non-negotiable, drop everything signs of a brain emergency. If you see any of these, don't think twice. Call 911 immediately.
Losing consciousness for more than half a minute, vomiting over and over, a headache that gets worse instead of better, these all signal a severe injury that needs professional medical help, and it needs it right away.
All right, let's take a breath. The immediate crisis has been handled, they've been checked out by a doctor. Now the real journey begins, healing. Let's walk through what the recovery process should actually look like.
Look, recovery is a marathon, not a sprint. Those first couple of days, they are for complete and total rest. And I mean physical and mental rest. So that means no complex work, no homework, no video games. Then, around days 3 to 7, you can start a very gradual return to normal life. But the rule is you stop immediately if any symptoms flare up. Rushing it is honestly the single biggest mistake you can make.
So healing at home really requires a specific game plan. Limiting screen time is huge. All that light and stimulation can really overwork a healing brain. Staying hydrated, getting tons of sleep, and, this is a big one, absolutely no alcohol are also key. And of course, the golden rule. No sports or any strenuous activity until a doctor gives the 100% all clear. Period.
Now, we have to talk about why. Why is rushing back to normal so incredibly dangerous? Understanding this next point isn't just important, it can literally save a life.
It's a condition called second impact syndrome. And here's what it is. It's when a person gets a second head injury before the first one is fully healed. Their brain is already inflamed, it's vulnerable, and a second impact can cause the brain to lose its ability to regulate blood flow, leading to massive, catastrophic, and uncontrollable swelling. The stakes could not be higher with this. SIS is very often fatal.
And this is exactly why jumping back into sports or any high-risk activity before being completely symptom-free and getting a doctor's official sign-off is like playing with fire. It's just not worth the risk. One concussion, when it's treated properly, usually heals just fine. But a second one coming too soon, that can have absolutely devastating, lifelong consequences.
So, let's just boil this all down. If you remember nothing else from our time together, remember these 5 golden rules. Number 1, when in doubt, sit them out. Simple. Number 2, rest is non-negotiable, both for the body and the brain. 3, only Tylenol for pain. No aspirin or ibuprofen. 4, no sports until a doctor gives 100% clearance. And finally, number 5, never ever ignore delayed or worsening symptoms. You get these right, and you could literally save a brain.
The difference between a full recovery and permanent damage often comes down to the actions that are taken in those first few minutes and the patience that's shown in the days and weeks that follow. You now have that knowledge. You have the tools. The only question left is, when that moment comes, will you be ready?